In late September the grass in the Yellowstone foothills yellows like an old map, and the air smells of wet bark and the iron of river water. In that season 2 young men, Cody Miller and Liam Richards, left Gardner before dawn and turned onto a logging road where every rut knew their pickup by the squeak of its shocks. They were 26, each carried a mushroom knife, a pack with sandwiches, a thermos, and a pair of short binoculars inherited from their fathers. They were not out for trophies but for what the land sheds on its own, cast elk antlers, berries, and early fall mushrooms in the low pockets. "Drop the sacks and head for the tree line," Cody said, breaking at a firebreak. "Gully to the left, no one's tracked it since spring." "And the wind's steady," Liam nodded. "If we bump a bear, he'll smell us long before he sees us." They thought of bears the way locals do in autumn, hulking neighbors you'd rather give the right of way. But in town the talk had shifted those last weeks. A notice on the store corkboard read in block letters, "Warning, possible cougar activity." A farm grandmother at the gas station said a quiet shadow had taken their kid goat. A ranger advised, "If you see a cat, don't run, stand your ground and make yourself big." Rumors, dispatch notes, secondhand fears, together they formed the outline of an unseen hunter whose name sounds soft in English, Mountain Lion. Cody and Liam laughed when a dad on the Riverside Cafe porch said, "That cat hunts people like elk." The laugh was uneasy, less disbelief than a refusal to admit worry. They were young, fit, clear-headed. Danger always chooses someone else. They walked among pines where shade between trunks seemed to lick away the sound of their steps. By noon the first antlers clinked in their bags, dry and warm from the sun. On the edge of a meadow they found reindeer lichen, in a low swale, lingonberries. Liam plucked a sprig and studied the clear juice shining on his fingers. "It's quiet here," he said. "Too quiet." Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of something that has hushed the mouse, the chirr, the faint whistle of wind. Silence like a hand over the mouth. They exchanged a look and left it at that. Talk can shatter delicate alertness, or save you. This time they chose the first. Toward evening, as the sun slipped into the saddle between 2 jagged peaks, they found a new track. It was a drawing in charcoal, large round prints without claw marks, deeper on the 4 feet. Cody crouched. "Cat. Big one. And fresh," Liam said, running a fingertip along the crisp edge. "Half an hour, tops." They did not know the track saw them as clearly as they saw it. 20 yards away, in a patch of juniper, a spindle-lean body hugged the ground. A long tail lay in a curve. Amber eyes, 2 bare pieces of resin, flowed after the men's silhouettes. The lion was older than most around here, scars silvered around his muzzle like fine frost. People called him all sorts of things, gray shadow, river shade, some even said man-eater. He did not love to hunt people. Animals don't love or hate, they choose. He chose them more often because he had learned our patterns, how we walk, how we halt at water, how we glance left and not right. They felt the gaze only with their backs. Their shoulders drew in as if someone had dropped an unseen cloak over them. "Let's cut for the road," Liam said. "Over the saddle." "I don't like this." "Agreed." "Stay tight, no straggling." They moved on. The timber thickened. On a short path between boulders their footfalls spilled into echo. When a raven shook loose from a branch, a black leaf against the sky, the cat slid forward and melted into brush, a shadow deciding to become flesh. A trap isn't always dug with a shovel. Sometimes it's the slope and the rocks, the geometry a native knows by heart. The lion was steering them toward a talus field by a sequence of small maneuvers, short arcs, and pauses. He did not hurry. Hunting is a ledger of patience. The men, without knowing it, sped up, playing into his plan. When the scree began to move underfoot, it happened fast and almost quietly. First, a thin crust of packed gravel cracked, like the snap of hard candy. Liam skidded, flinging out a hand, and bashed his shoulder on a stone. Cody turned to haul him up, and in that instant a shadow dropped from the right and became a blow. The lion struck like snow off a roof, all mass, no warning. Liam's body slid, a boot popped free, his head hit earth, white noise flared and went out. Cody shoved off, yanking his knife, and saw the cat jam both forepaws into his friend's back, pinning, not tearing, like a press. The jaws flashed, but Cody remembered the frightening quiet of the movement more than any blood. The animal worked in silence. Without dwelling on detail, he died quickly. No gore, only a short inhalation that never found an exhale, and eyes with no question left in them. Cody screamed, a thin, wrong sound, and slashed. The blade scraped ribs, the cat sprang back, arched, and darted in again. Cody covered up, the next hit landed on his forearm like a sledge. Pain flared as a heated needle, then went far and woolly. He swung again, at emptiness, at wind. Another pounce, claws raked his thigh. Terrain, not steel, saved him. He slithered lower, and 3 boulders rose between him and the cat. In a pause that felt too long, he tasted dry dust and heard his pulse like a boot thumping aboard. The lion circled right, stone shifted under its weight. Cody lurched left and hobbled downslope without looking back. Something behind him sighed, long and pleased. He didn't turn. He reached the road clutching his right arm tight to his chest. Fingers shaking, he punched 911, and the signal died for a second. A gray tundra rose from its own dust cloud, roof racks spread like wings. Inside were 5 men Gardner knew by name and a few other states would have called legends: Ted, Max, Nick, Jack, and Eugene. They were working a state contract, culling diseased wolves, an ugly task, sometimes necessary when graves multiply faster than care. Cody collapsed onto the tailgate, gulping air. Lion, he swallowed. Liam, up on the scree, he. They wasted no questions. Jack hit the gas. Nick was already digging in the med kit. Max whistled short and sharp, and Zarina, his mastiff, rose in the bed of the truck like a boulder come alive. Rosie, Ted's little fox terrier, slipped from under Jack's boots and sat on the seat edge as if asking where to jump. Whose blood? Ted asked, eyeing the makeshift wrap. Mine. He. Liam's up there, on the talus. Show us, Jack said softly. The hike back took 5 minutes and an eternity. They found Liam where the sunset had faded on a pink rock. Ted took off his hat. Nick, breathing hard, laid a cedar bough over the boy, shielding him from beast and sky. The words were plain, without church varnish: forgive us, kid. We missed you by 10 minutes. We'll take it from here. And for everyone who walks here, Max added. They understood the hunt had changed its target. The wolf contract could wait, human duty could not. But hunting a lion isn't a pull-off shot. It's chess in fog. The animal sees first, hears better, moves quieter. He shows no cards, he lays them in your path. Jack read the ground. He rolled you toward the scree. Smart. He'll swing higher, for the saddle. Winds from the northeast. He'll circle right and take us by scent from below. And try to split us, Eugene said. Then we don't split, Ted snapped. Red lights, short talk. Cody, between the truck and us. Nick left, Max right, Jack center. I'm rear with Rosie. Zarina up front, and keep that nose down. They synced fast, like a crew too used to reaching those who didn't make it back before dark. They switched on red lamps on their sleeves to spare each other's night sight. Zarina took the lead, heavy-footed, reading the earth in layers the way you reread a book by paragraphs. Rosie chirped once, alert. There, Max said at a dark, half-moon print in cedar duff. He watched us from here. And left there, Nick pointed to a narrow crack between boulders. The stones were clean, as if someone had passed through air. They met the first attack the right way, because they were expecting it. The lion arrowed from behind and left, aiming for Max's legs. Zarina spun in place and slammed into him broadside, shielding her handler. Max dropped to a knee, covering Rosie against a second strike. Jack snapped his carbine up and fired, not into flesh but into the rock above. The report slapped the forest, teaching it, we are here. We are big. The cat vanished as fast as he'd come. 2 tufts of hair clung to pine bark, a scratch beaded Zarina's nose. She didn't whine, only burned. He's testing us, Eugene said. Counting. So do we, Ted muttered. Hold the circle. They climbed for the saddle. The wind scrubbed away the smell of blood. The sky deepened like blueberries before frost. They made a tiny camp, almost invisible. No fire, just pocket warmers and hot tea. They checked in with Wildlife Dispatch, 40 minutes out. In mountains, 40 minutes is a month. The lion came, as he always does, when a human has a cup in hand. A loud crack to the left, too loud for a cat, as if someone had broken the hush on purpose. Nick turned that way, at that heartbeat a real shadow moved from the right. Rosie, a small bolt, darted to meet it, stealing a line from the arc. The cat hit empty air, flew past Nick's shoulder, and vanished among the pines. Jack's blade cut nothing but cold. He's training us to make mistakes, Eugene said, and the words hung like rhyme. Then we'll teach him his last lesson, Ted answered. Nick, buzzers. The buzzers, tiny chirpers you set along a trail to know which way an animal's coming. They set 3 in a triangle and laid a lure inside, a strip of jerky rubbed with mash. Ferment draws cats stronger than emptiness. Not a trap, just a second of attention. Sometimes a second is all a good shot needs. The left buzzer chirped, once, then twice. Zarina raised her head. Jack lifted his carbine. Everything was ready, so the cat did not come from the left. He came from above along a path no one saw, down a vertical slab that leaves no track. A grandmaster's move. He dropped, not onto a man but onto a gear bag, kicking out light and sound, turning the world into panic chess. Then he was gone. Clever boy, Nick said, wiping sweat. All right, friend. We didn't start yesterday either. They changed the game, leave the timber for an open slope where the cat had fewer blinds and the rifles more lanes. They walked tight, one figure. Cody, pale, held on, teeth clenched, pain in his arm thumped like a far drum. He feared one thing, that white, small world sound where a life ends. On the open face the wind took their cheeks, and the moon, slipping from cloud, drew long shadows in the grass. Where a pine shadow crossed a man's shadow, a low, weary growl rumbled. Jack stepped aside, breaking the overlap. Zarina rose a fraction. The cat appeared not in a flash but as a dissolving mask. First, nothing but a hump. Then, 2 eye points. Then, the line of shoulder like a fin. He came straight, silent as a ship without wake. At 20 paces he stopped. The world shrank to that distance. "Don't back up," Max whispered. "And don't walk in," Ted said. "Hold. Don't run." The lion took half a step. Then half a step more. His eyes were almost calm. He was deciding, not about food but about a boundary. Rosie growled high and angry. The sound was right. The cat glanced off for a fraction. It was enough. Jack's shot didn't aim for the heart, he wouldn't risk that in wind, but for the shoulder. The lion barked a short, harsh cry, sprang back, and dropped out of sight. "Hit!" Nick shouted. "Not over," Jack said. "A wounded lion's worse than a whole one. He'll either fade out or be back now." He came back, not for men but for his own dignity. He slammed Zarina, trying to knock her over the lip and break the human line. She took it in the chest, rolled, and stood again at once. Max threw his knife, not at the cat, but into the dirt in front of him, forcing a tempo change. Eugene blasted white light in his eyes. The cat blinked right where Nick held the lane. Nick's second shot was almost soundless in the wind, again not fatal but stopping. The rangers arrived at the right second, not earlier, not later. A voice on the radio, a blue strobe, 2 people with carbines and a net. The lion didn't fear them. He knew only this: the night is his. If he could pull the men into pure shadow, he would take his due. He leapt into the dark, and the dark took him. "Heading for the creek bed," a ranger said. "There's a narrow canyon. If he runs that way, we could lose him." "We won't," Ted said, stubborn. 2 wide arcs. "Nick with me. Jack, take center. Cody, you stay with the truck." End of story. "No," Cody said, his voice broke on a syllable like a stick in frost. "I'll fall in at the rear. I have to." Ted looked at him and nodded, not in approval, but in acceptance of a grown man's pain. Thumbs up if you believe raptors and wild rivers deserve protection, like, subscribe, and share. Bell turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story in this series. Disclaimer: this is a fictional narrative. No animals were harmed. We support legal, ethical hunting and conservation. Poaching is a crime.